Uh, so as promised, I'm just going to go through your website and kind of give you a better feel for some of the opportunities you have here. Like I mentioned, I've worked with Divi a lot, and I can like actually use Divi in my sleep anymore. It's not my absolute favorite theme to use, but it is like one of two. So it's definitely not the lowest theme either. Um, so, okay, one of my first things I want to touch on is your logo. Um, so when one scrolls down, you can see that it kind of starts to fit nicely into the same padding as these guys have. It has similar ratio. Um, so a website, usually the menu items have just like a little padding at the top and the bottom like these do by default. Because if the menu was at the very bottom boxing them in, it would be really hard to read. And so to that end, your logo gets pushed into that same space. However, ratio-wise, it gets significantly larger comparatively. Really, your header should be from about here to about here. And so your logo is just, it's throwing that off a little bit and making the site feel imbalanced right away. So if I were you, I would just upload a scaled down version of your logo, or even sometimes when you choose your logo, you can choose a different size because WordPress will resize for you. Let's take a look here and see like what would be a good size just to, because if you want to resize it. So right now it looks like it's at 716. What's my computer going? Okay, so nope, that's not right at all. Okay, so you're at 266 pixels. So even if you get it down to width 200 pixels, maybe even smaller than that, so like 175. And so then if this was 175 like this bottom and top margin would go away, and it would feel a lot better. Everything would kind of just, it wouldn't be so big, but it's obviously still legible. So that's one of my first suggestions. Second suggestion, this is a nitpicky thing. You don't necessarily need a home button, so because your logo's clickable. So just kind of as a thought. Sorry about my notification. Ugh, okay. So the next thing you could do is take this purple that is in your logo. It's really more of a maroon, isn't it? It's not the same color as here. So we've got a couple different colors going as far as branding goes. This maroon would look really nice for these instead of the blue. So I would take a look at that. It looks like everything else is correct. So like, because this is maroon when it drops down. To see how far down I have to scroll in order to get to the next menu items. So having this header kind of short up and smaller would be nice. But I can see that it's maroon along the top of that menu item. So I'm wondering if you have just the current menu item issue. Let's take a look at the guest list and just go from there. Yeah, so like your current menu item for some reason is blue. And it just kind of throws you off as far as branding goes. It doesn't fit the feel of the site. Well, since we're on the guests page, let's just go through it. First of all, I really appreciate this little box. I love this text. It breaks up the serif text very nicely, and it seems to go pretty well. So I quite like it. I appreciate the reiteration of the maroon here. So if this was maroon and then this is maroon, we would just have that kind of like seamless tie-in. It seems like you picked up the purple here for the purple background, which works very well. These are good colors. They work quite well. So secondly, I really appreciate a picture being there. Like seriously appreciate it. You got to break up the text with images because humans react in milliseconds to visuals. into images and in seconds to text. And I mean, I'm talking like I can read Be My Guest in probably under 1 second, but I immediately identified that's a human face, he's smiling at me, I feel comfortable, I feel safe, I feel like I can trust this guy. And I probably had all of that in like a tenth of a second, you know. So there's a lot of research regarding that. This down here is, it works really well, but it needs a little bit of help. So either, I'm trying to think what you could do that would be really easy for you. Gosh, I like the maroon underline. I'm wondering if you could do maroon background instead. Or maybe, you know what would help is even if this header text was more bold or bigger, because it's all the same text until we get down here, and then this is bold. So maybe make this into like a H3 would be really nice. And again, I'm trying to think of like ways we can get this font in there as well in other places in your site, because it's so nice to have that break for your eyes, something interesting. Okay, so scrolling all the way down, powered by Acuity Scheduling. I understand that that's something that is maybe you're not able to remove. You can always, so inspect element down here. I'm just right clicking and then I'm clicking inspect. I'm in Google Chrome. So Acuity footer, you could say display none and it would go away, and that would go in your CSS editor. If you don't have Jetpack installed, I'm giving you like all the tips and tricks. I don't even do this for potential clients. But so if you don't have Jetpack installed, which is the plugin by Automattic, the same maker of WordPress, and it comes with security, it comes with photo optimization, it comes with statistics, it also comes with a CSS editor. So instead of having to go into the theme code and then worry about it getting deprecated when you update or deleting something you don't want to, instead you could have your own CSS file that is just stuff that you've done. So if you accidentally delete it, it doesn't crash the site, and it also will remain throughout an update. It will try to disappear if you change themes, but I'm sure you've noticed WordPress has revisions, so you can still get all of that back. But anyway, so what I would do is, I don't know how much you know about CSS. See, I know you know like a lot of different programming, but so you would type in pound ID as a pound sign, Acuity footer, just like that. And then in brackets, just like you see here, the little brackets. So it's a pound Acuity dash footer, and then brackets, display none, and then close bracket, because you don't need to remove any of the rest of the stuff. So you just say close the bracket after display none. If it's being a bear, then you could do important, and that tells the website to basically override it no matter what. The issue with this may be that Acuity Calendar doesn't allow you to remove that, and if it detects a display none, it will in fact break the entire plugin, and you won't lose anything. You just go back into your CSS file and delete this, and then it'll be back and it'll be fine. So it's about a 50-50 shot. Some plugins do that to you, some plugins don't. Same with this. So you could come down here, right click on it and say inspect element, and say, okay, so like, what is this called? Oh, those tricky bastards. So it's not its own element. Did you put this here? Because it lives alone. Anyway, I would have said display none for that as well. I'm assuming that maybe I'm sorry about the notifications. It's almost invisible, so I have a feeling you made it invisible. But anyway, okay, so that's some of that. I think that you could probably make these header portions stand out a little bit and break it out. You could maybe even just break up this text a little bit with like some bolds. And then maybe this border could be thicker, and a different color, just kind of break it up because it is just a white block on the top of a purple block. Okay, something I've noticed is you only have Twitter. Do you really only have Twitter? You're not on Facebook? I would reconsider going onto Facebook. And in fact, I would even consider getting onto LinkedIn in the forums, because there's a lot of groups in LinkedIn. You'd have to join them with your personal, but you could be posting latest episodes to that. Obviously, you can tell I'm a marketing strategist in addition to just a web designer, so serial entrepreneurs. Okay, I'm just going to keep skipping over as we go. Okay, so resources. This isn't bad. In fact, most of it's pretty good. However, this here, this resources section is just like, especially after it just came off of the home page and the guest page where it was purple with the background. I think that you could make this into a header block, which you can do pretty easily in Divi, with the background being purple. And then resources needs to get centered a little bit, so put a little spacing up here. There's, oh God, I don't know why the mouse keeps doing that. There's a little bit of a, you can add spacing. You can add a spacer and just bump this down a little bit so it's a little bit more centered. They might even have a module that will let you do that anymore. I don't remember. But anyway, so make this purple. Get it purple, and then make resources white, and then make these white, and so that they jump off of it and it ties this white into it. And then you actually won't need this horizontal ruler here to split, because it'll go from purple to white. But the rest of this is actually pretty good. I mean, it's a teensy tiny bit plain, but it speaks to the minimalist inside of me, and I think it works really well, and it's very easy to digest, which is exactly what we want when we're building a website. So I would just say, yeah, make this a purple block to match the rest of the website, so my eye isn't like, whoa, oh my God, white stuff and no color at all. Because I realize that this is colored, but it's line work, so it's harder to tell. So purple with white text, I think, would be all you need on this page. Okay, so I'm going to kind of backtrack now to podcasts. Okay. So this is great. Oh my God, I love this. These purple quote callouts are phenomenal. They get me engaged right away. That's awesome. I actually can't believe you're not having commenters yet, although, you know what? Maybe I can, because I have a hard time getting commenters as well. For some reason, people are just like stingy. I have commenters. Okay. So anyway, this looks great. Older entries could be a little bit bigger, a little bit more prominent. It's kind of just like a sad little, hi, I'm here. Like, it's the same size as Read More, and this is an important navigation tool. So maybe make that a little bit bigger. You might have to do some CSS coding yourself to do that. This is great as well. I really wish it scrolled with me. I wish it kept bumping down. Although I guess it's not. No, actually it would. It would fit. It would totally fit on the page. But I think you'd have to install some custom coding, and it would just be a pain in the butt. But I love these icons. They pop out. They get me interested. Yeah, this is great. This is super, super, super great. I love it. Again, this logo is just driving me a little crazy because it's so big. But that is me. Okay, so iTunes, it does go out. Okay, I looked at the URL, so I'm a little bit of a goof, and I look at in the bottom left-hand corner there, you can see the link. And so I was like, am I going to a different page? But accolades, they go out to a different page instead of redirecting the page you're on. It's a new tab or a new window, which is perfect. So awesome. Don't change a thing here. Looks great. Also, the social sharing you've got going on is really well done. That's going to be really good for you. So yeah, this is definitely something we want sharing. Okay, so the homepage loads slow, as you can see, because you're loading a page within a page. And I hate that. So this is like my number one thing is, oh God, you're loading a page within a page. Lordy. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it this way? You could be doing it in a blog roll format, just using the podcasts that you already have going, the posts. So yeah, I feel kind of like, ugh, this, I just landed on a bunch of text. So kind of like what we were talking about before, where images help break up. If you go ahead over to my podcast, I actually just posted one literally right now at noon. But you'll see that I have my guests' pictures for each post, and that helps break up the monotony of the text and the audio file. So maybe I would certainly consider not having this. I'm not sure why you have it. Let's see. Where is it from? Excuse me. I'm being really casual with you because you're much more familiar than clients. It doesn't even know where it's opening. Hey, come on. Show me your guts. I don't know why my computer is running so hard, so I really apologize for the lag now. Ugh. Here. Okay, leverage. Is this really? It doesn't want to show me what you're using. You are using Leadpages, which is awesome, so kudos there. Oh, okay, I see. This is the listen bar. It's just a lot of text and things that don't necessarily match. So something you could do is have just this bar, this top portion here, and then below that have the blog roll, just like you have on the podcast, maybe full width, maybe not. Maybe with the list over here, you can do that, and it would be just like a little neater. Something that I really, really, really frown upon is having a scroll within a scroll. So, like for me, I realize that that's a scroll. I can see it, but people who are not necessarily like as tech savvy might not realize that they're trying to scroll the page and then can't scroll. And then furthermore, if you see, I'm hovering over it and I'm scrolling the entire page instead of scrolling the inside. So it's just kind of like, it's a lot going on. And I think it's distracting. Something else that drives me nuts is your numbering here is off by one. Except for this one is 61 and 61, so I have a feeling that you may be misnumbered. But take a look at this because your numbers are kind of off and that's confusing. Okay, so awesome. Coming back down, hello, picture, great. This absolutely could be the same text as the guests. I'm sorry, the garbage truck is going by. I wonder if you can hear that or not. Wow. So Thursday morning. So I would make this that same text that is on the guests page. That nice script. That would be sweet. And then you wouldn't have to italicize this, although you could still do that. Add a little space between here, just a teensy bit more. Although that special text might bump it down because it goes from centered aligned to left aligned, back to centered aligned. And that's like, whoa. So if you want to, I would just choose one or the other, left aligned or right aligned, everything. Because it's just, my eye is like, whoa, what's the decision point here? But good, calls to action, great. Be my guest, great. Here I got a little confused until we were talking about it on your podcast. I didn't realize that each topic was a different day of the week. So I would strongly suggest that below motivation, you put Monday. Below productivity, you put Tuesday. Below leadership, you put Wednesday on its own line, each day on its own line. So it'll still wrap nicely when it's on mobile. I wouldn't put it like motivation and then dash Monday or whatever, because it's on the same line. It'll just be too much, and it's the day of the week isn't the topic. The topic is the topic. So keep that the first row, second row down, the day of the week. That will help a lot, because I didn't even realize this was a 7-day-a-week podcast until we were talking. So that might be worth, well, you do kind of mention it. So maybe I'm just not observant. Although, if I'm a web designer, I didn't see it, then maybe that's also a good thought, for people who might be perusing your site who aren't techies. Did I just make a fool of myself by saying that? I'm guessing that not all of your listeners are necessarily techies. I'm guessing they're probably entrepreneurs in addition to techies. So yeah, just a thought there. Okay, so this is your lead pages. Got it. I guess like my last critique is, where's this blue coming from? We have maroon and we have purple, and then all of a sudden we have blue, and the blue is not used on any other page. It's used right here, but that's confusing when you use it. So this dark blue is nice, but I get what you're trying to do. I get that you're trying to break out the sections, but I would just suggest like reconsidering the way you're doing that. So I love this section. I think this looks really nice. This is just a giant block of white all of a sudden. You could darken the background a little bit. There's a tool called 0to255.com. Let me show you. 0to255.com. So if you want to say, okay, I want this to be like a super light maroon color so that it matches and it still fits my branding, but it is subtle, like almost like these are extremely subtle. So like, let's say, okay, so that's, we'll copy this color. So that's that code. Okay, so let's pick a color and say, this is the color we want. This is the color that is our number one color. So here it is, bumped out. This is the color of that button. And here are all of the lighter versions, and here are all of the darker versions. And so then I could say, okay, let's do like this one. Maybe this one. And click to copy. As you see, it's copied. And then I could then go in here and change the background color of that form using CSS. So maybe that tool will be helpful to you. 0to255.com. 0to255.com. Okay, I've kind of rambled on for a while, and I've given you a lot to think about. Last thing I would say is this call to action is a little bit, I have no idea what the mouse does that. Wow. This call to action is a little bit like, huh? Find out more. Why? I have been through this with another campaign that we did. So this is designed well, except for this freaking blue. So let's work on that. But find out more. Find out more what? Find out more about the show. Find out how to be a guest on the show. Find out when the show airs. Find out about resources. What's find out more? It's extremely ambiguous, and you're going to have a lot of trouble converting. So I would say change this language, find out more, and then here, Divi has a way to do like a call out box. I forget what they call it, but so you could have text here that says, get alerted when each episode goes live, or get the episodes in your inbox, or get only motivation episodes in your inbox, or get only, like, so they can even choose and digest it further. And then over here, you can have the find out more, or sign me up or get on the list or something like that. Find Out More is just not effective. We had a lot of trouble with it in one of our campaigns. So, yeah, otherwise, I mean, this is cool. Download your guide for a podcast. So you're really doing well overall. I think, you can make a couple of these little changes and have the website go from looking like it was cobbled together to looking very polished. So that's my 2 cents. Obviously, I like to help out, so I'm willing to just be available as a resource. I really can't do it for you due to my own time constraints and my business manager who would yell at me for giving away more time because I tend to do that. But, I think that a lot of this is pretty easy and straightforward, and you can do it. If you figured out how to code on your own, you can figure out the CSS if you haven't already and get it going. So, all right, that's it. I'm signing off. Best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you next week during our interview. Sweet. Bye.